Hi, it's Katrina. From swimming with anacondas to finding a lost World War II pilot, here are 9 shocking underwater discoveries. Number 9. Ancient submerged city. In late September, archaeologists announced the discovery of a 4,000-year-old ancient submerged city in the Aegean Sea, which they referred to as a paradise. The Bronze Age metropolis, discovered south of Athens near the Peloponnese Peninsula, was found unexpectedly by researchers from the University of Geneva, who were training on a nearby beach. A year after first noticing pottery fragments beneath the water's surface, the team returned to the site to further investigate. Using the planet Solar, the world's largest solar-powered boat, they conducted a thorough search overseen by the Swiss School of Archaeology in Greece and the Greek Ministry of Culture. The researchers found several buildings across a roughly 12-acre site, dating back to around 2500 BC, around the same time as the pyramids of Giza and the Minoan settlements of Crete, and predating the Greek civilization by around 1,000 years. Most perplexingly, they noticed 3 horseshoe-shaped foundations, which they believe were some sort of defense structure that has never been observed elsewhere in Greece. Altogether, over 6,000 artifacts were discovered at the site, including paved surfaces, stone tools, and pottery. Antiquities professor Julien Beck of the University of Geneva explained that the team does not know why the settlement was fortified and that the facility's full size remains unknown. Number 8. World's deepest underwater cave. The Hranicka Propast, or Hranicka Abyss, is the world's deepest underwater cave. Divers have explored these caves for years, and it was always suspected to be the world's deepest underwater cave, with an established depth of at least 1,325 feet. It was discovered by Polish diver Krzysztof Staranowski, who later said that he felt like a Columbus of the 21st century for making the invaluable find. Staranowski dove to 656 feet, at which point he used a remotely operated robot to descend another 670 feet, as far as the machine's cord would go. Still, he could tell that the cave extended further down to an unknown depth. The prospect of diving any deeper was problematic because of both the muddy, low-visibility conditions and the cold water temperature, which dips down to 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Moreover, equipment and exposed skin were damaged by the mineral-heavy atmosphere. Recent research published in the Journal of Geophysical Research, Earth's Surface, suggests that it's much deeper than originally thought, over 3,280 feet deep. The newly assessed potential cave depth was calculated from above by researchers from the Czech Academy of Scientists using geophysical techniques, including electrical resistivity tomography, or ERT, gravity, and seismic methods, according to Tech Kila. Get it? That's a good name, right? The ensuing map of the cave showed its newer depth of at least 3,280 feet, and the team still has not ruled out the possibility that the cave goes even deeper. And now for number 7. But first, want to give a big shout out to Katie Bickham and Tyler G. Thanks so much for your support. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe and let me know what you would like to see in future videos. Number 7. Swimming with anacondas. Swimming with giant anacondas is probably not on most people's bucket list, but did you know that this is something you can actually do on purpose? There are enough people that want to do this that there is a company that specializes in this anaconda swimming extravaganza. The off-the-beaten-path adventure takes place in Brazil, where expert divers guide tourists in the unique crystal-clear water of the Formoso River, where they hope to encounter and swim alongside the green anaconda, the world's largest snake species. Swimming with dolphins just isn't exciting enough, apparently. Green anacondas are notorious for being difficult to spot, which many of us might be thankful for, but for those who are curious, one of these diving programs may provide exactly what you were looking for. Who knew? Anacondas have a terrifying reputation for stealing dogs and children in the middle of the night. These predators live in marshes, swamps, and murky streams, waiting to devour prey that gets too close to the water's edge, like capybara and sometimes even jaguars. 2 divers were filming underwater in Brazil's Formoso River in 2019 when they came across an enormous snake that appeared out of the murky waters. It seems like it was calm and curious, so they got closer and closer to the anaconda that measured about 23 feet long. Underwater footage of anacondas is very rare since, first of all, the waters don't always have the best conditions for seeing things, and second of all, this seems extremely terrifying and creepy, and I'm not sure every diver could handle it. After a while, the snake appears to swim away from them, them with no intention of attacking whatsoever, and the divers follow it for quite some time until it disappears. The anaconda was clearly not feeling in an aggressive mood, and the divers got some incredible footage. However, it seems pretty risky since underwater it seems like the anaconda would have the advantage and could have easily chosen to attack. They say that if one comes at you, to freeze in the water and to stay still. But in any case, this experience for these divers went very well, and they are very happy to show a more peaceful side to the greatly feared snake. Regardless of how peaceful and tolerant a green anaconda may be, seeing one come at you from the bottom of a river could be one of the scariest things ever. Would you swim with a green anaconda? If you do, let me know in the comments below, and if you have, be sure to share some pics. But in any case, I don't think I'll be joining you. I like to admire snakes from a distance. Number 6. Steamboat wreck. In September of this year, a Colchester, Vermont diver named Gary Lefebvre discovered pieces from one of America's earliest steamboat wrecks in Lake Champlain using a remotely operated vehicle, or ROV. He unexpectedly captured footage of 2 paddle wheels from the steamboat Phoenix, which caught fire and sank 201 years ago. The main hull was documented 40 years ago, according to Chris Sabick of the Lake Champlain Maritime Museum, but the paddle wheels remained missing until Lefebvre's recent historic discovery. In fact, Sabick explained, the museum did not even know if the paddle wheels even still existed. So to find them was really exciting and will show lots of new detail about this vessel and its construction, he said. The paddle wheels will remain at the bottom of the lake, where the cold, dark waters help to keep them well preserved. It would be difficult to recover them anyway because their depth exceeds typical diving standards. The Phoenix launched in 1815 as the second commercial steamboat to operate on Lake Champlain and regularly operated between Whitehall, New York and St. John's, Quebec. It sank 4 years later on September 5, 1819, when someone either carelessly left a lit candle in the pantry or at the hands of a rival company, depending on which version you believe. 6 perished in the tragedy, while the remaining 40 passengers and crew thankfully survived. Number 5. World War II pilot. The remains of a U.S. pilot who was shot down while flying over the Pacific during World War II over 70 years ago were finally recovered in 2018 by members of the American Armed Forces. Over the decades, sand and sea life buried the pilot and the wreckage he went down with in the Republic of Palau. The recovery team identified and recovered the wreck after 74 long years, and their next mission was to figure out whose remains they had found and notify the fallen soldiers' next of kin. Numerous agencies worked together to make the discovery, including the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency, which dispatched an underwater recovery team staffed by service members of the U.S. Army, Navy, and Air Force, as well as civilian employees from the Department of Defense, on the USNS Salvor. The task was arduous, as described by Lieutenant Commander Tim Emge, who said in a statement that the divers have been pulling more than 12-hour days for the past 2 months, and that the recovery team spent weeks excavating the area using a variety of archaeological tools and meticulously inspecting the bottom sediment in their search and recovery of the missing personnel from World War II. The recovery process was meticulous, according to civilian mariner Jean Marien, chief mate of the USNS Salvor recovery vessel, adding there was a lot of sand, a never-ending supply. Their hard and painstaking work paid off and proved worthwhile when the team found the wreckage and the individual who went down with the plane so many years ago. Number 4. Neolithic sites. In July, archaeologists reported the discovery of hundreds of ancient indigenous artifacts off Western Australia's Dampier archipelago, serving as evidence that people lived in the now submerged region 7,000 years ago, when it was still dry land. The artifacts were found at 2 different sites located about 3 miles from where one of Australia's biggest gas producers, Woodside Petroleum, plans to build a pipeline between one of its gas plants and gas fields in what the company calls its Scarborough project. Perhaps more shocking than the discovery itself is the oil and gas company's response to it. Australia's Indigenous heritage laws only protect underwater sites if a minister determines that they are significant, initially sparking fears that the artifacts, and perhaps others that have not been found yet, would be destroyed or lost. Thankfully, Woodside Petroleum began a dialogue with the region's Indigenous landowners, the Murujuga Aboriginal Corporation, or MAC, as well as archaeologists from the Deep History of Sea country who made the discoveries. The parties involved agree that the rest of the area needs to be thoroughly investigated before the pipeline is installed, to ensure that no undiscovered indigenous artifacts are damaged and lost to history in the process. Woodside has an impressive history of willingly cooperating with the Murujuga to avoid destroying Aboriginal rock art and other items of cultural and historic value with its projects, particularly on and near the Burrup Peninsula, where other important sites have been discovered. In a statement, a spokesperson reassured that the submerged artifact sites will remain protected, that the company will continue performing archaeological digs where it plans to build, and that it is working with the Murujuga to develop a cultural heritage plan for the area it plans to develop. "We don't need the law to tell us what the right thing to do is," said Australian Petroleum Production and Exploration Association Chief Executive Andrew McConville. "We're already doing it." Number 3. 17th century Dutch ship. A volunteer diving team from Badevane, a non-profit organization that documents shipwrecks, recently discovered the remains of a 17th century Dutch ship in the Baltic Sea. A small crew ran the 3-masted cargo-carrying ship called a flute, which had no gun attachments, but was equipped to carry cannons and ammunition during battle. Flutes were not built for speed, but crew members took advantage of the vessel's unique rigging system, which cut costs by enabling them to adjust the sails for maximum space. The newly found wreck sank for mysterious reasons and appears to be in shockingly good condition. It went down in deep waters in the middle of the sea, yet its hull remains intact, a member of the diving team, Jouni Polko, explained in an interview. The team speculated that a storm may have capsized the vessel, or a leak may have allowed too much water in, and the pumps may have stopped working. Another possibility is that the rigging became frozen, causing the ship to become unstable. At the time the vessel sank, the Dutch Empire was in its golden age, with power extending to parts of Asia, Europe, North America, Tasmania, and New Zealand. With prominent trading posts established throughout the world and an ample fleet of seafaring vessels, the Dutch grew to control the globe's maritime trade, making the sunken flute just one of many that helped the nation become a major economic power. Number 2. New coral species. While closely exploring the Great Barrier Reef Park's deepest regions for the first time, scientists aboard the Schmidt Ocean Institute's Falkor research vessel discovered 5 previously unidentified species consisting of black corals and sponges, as well as Australia's first recorded observation of an extremely rare fish. Scientists from numerous organizations and institutions, including Geoscience Australia, James Cook University, the University of Sydney, the Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology, and more, worked together on what the researchers called a complex and scientifically challenging mission, during which they sought the answers to numerous questions regarding the geological evolution and biology of deep-sea canyons and reefs. They examined these environments and ecosystems, which sit up to 6,000 feet below the water's surface, using a remotely operated robot. The team took the deepest samples of soft coral ever collected in the Coral Sea, as well as the first ever sample of ancient bedrock from the Great Barrier Reef, which is estimated to be between 40 and 50 million years old. During the expedition, scientists also conducted the most thorough survey to date of midwater jellyfishes in the South Pacific, and caught a glimpse of the super rare Rhinopius agroliba fish species, witnessing the colorful ambush predator in Australian waters for the first time ever. The researchers hope to use the information gleaned from the study for learning how to better protect these fragile habitats, which play a vital role in biodiversity. Number 1. 13,000-year-old skeleton. Some of the oldest known human remains in the Americas were discovered in recent years, deep in the underwater cave systems of the Yucatan Peninsula in modern-day Mexico. In 2007, a team of divers found the ancient skeleton of a teenage female, whom they named Naya. When Naya died, the underwater caves were dry. She plunged 190 feet into a pit and probably died instantly. Her remains are remarkably well preserved, making her the most complete and genetically intact human skeleton in the New World. An analysis of Naya's DNA revealed that she was a genetic forerunner to modern Native Americans. The caves filled with water about 8,000 years ago. The divers who discovered Naya returned to the underwater caves in 2010 and discovered a male skeleton. He was named the Young Man of Chanhol II and was dated back 13,000 years. But when they announced the discovery, looters stole most of the skeleton before scientists could come and get it. A third skeleton that was found nearby dates back approximately 13,500 years. In the same cave system in 2017, a pair of divers squeezed into a narrow passageway after already descending nearly a half-mile down. There they discovered a very small opening leading to an ancient chamber containing the preserved 11,000-year-old remnants of an ancient mining site where people once harvested red ochre pigments. It contains artifacts such as tools and fire pits, offering a never-before-seen glimpse into how early humans extracted pigments in this part of the world. In the past, red ochre was a precious material used in cave paintings, mortuary rituals, and perhaps even as sunscreen, according to National Geographic. Beyond these mining practices, the discovery provided scientists with insight into the everyday lives of people who operated the mine and lived in the region. They were some of the first residents of the Americas, with evidence they left behind predating the rise of the nearby Maya Empire sites by thousands of years. Thanks for watching! Which discovery was your favorite? Which one would you like to learn more about? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you soon! Bye!